What's going on, everybody? Josh Calloway here with all Sooners, alongside by John Hoover at the stadium where the Sooners will finally be back, thankfully probably for them, on home soil in the friendly confines of Gaylord family, Oakland Memorial Stadium, trying to end a 3-game losing streak. The Sooners were mollywopped by Texas on Saturday, 49-0, first 3-game losing streak in over 2 decades. As rough football as this team has played in over 2 decades, but help is on the way. It looks like Dillon Gabriel will be back on Saturday. Brent Venables talked about that today in his weekly press conference, said if he stays out of harm's way in the concussion protocol, he does expect to be able to play on Saturday. Meanwhile, the other side of the coin, Kansas, who comes in on Saturday, they're not in as good a shape in their quarterback spot. Jalen Daniels, their stud quarterback, doubtful to play on Saturday, according to head coach Lance Leipold. So the stage looks maybe to be set for Oklahoma to maybe get back on track on Saturday if Gabriel is good to go.
Yeah, I talked to Dillon last night. He said that he's still in concussion protocol. What that is a series of steps, a series of progressions that he has to take, he has to pass to be able to get out of concussion protocol. It starts up here and it steps down kind of thing. And so he's in a situation right now where he can practice. He's full go in practice. Brent Venables said that today. He's full go. But if he has any setbacks, that kind of begins the clock over again. He has to go back to step one. So it's a little bit tricky. You wouldn't think that there would be any reason for any setback. You know, he's not out here. He's got the blue jersey on. He's not out here running around, taking any hits or anything like that. But concussions can be tricky. You can have a relapse. You can have sudden onset of headaches or nausea or any number of symptoms, and concussions can kind of remanifest. And it's tricky to predict. It's impossible to predict. But you just try to go by what the best medical knowledge that you have. Jalen Daniels, on the other hand, we don't know what his situation is. Leipold said today he's in the doubtful area, whatever that is. Okay, so it's probably going to be doubtful.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
Jason Bean came in and lit it up last week. Listen, Kansas appears to be in good shape no matter what they do at quarterback. Oklahoma, on the other hand, less so. Oklahoma, you need that first guy coming in, or you see what the product is going to be. It's going to be 49-0 against Texas.
Yeah, they need him. That's the big thing with Dillon Gabriel. We talked about that at length, obviously, in the post-game podcast. On Saturday in Dallas, this offense has been inept without Dillon Gabriel. Get him back in there, it's been pretty good. It feels like a long time ago for some of these fans. Yeah. It feels like it's been so long. But you have to go back. Remember Kansas State, when Dillon Gabriel last played a full game, they scored points in that game. They got yards. They had 34 on the board. So Oklahoma's a much different team when Dillon Gabriel plays. Looks like he should be back this week. Brent Venables said they'll know for sure on Thursday, one way or another, if Gabriel will be cleared and ready to go on Saturday. Now, we're trying to figure out what has happened to this team. Obviously, the first 3 weeks so good, the last 3 weeks so bad. Brent Venables mentioned post-game on Saturday that he felt the team was a little tired.
He brought that up himself.
And that was something that caught the eye of a lot of us. We didn't really get a chance to expound on it Saturday with Brent, so that opportunity came today. Because the question was, we talked about in postgame, is it just they're getting worked too hard? Is it a mental fatigue? He kind of got into the weeds of that a little bit today.
There's something that came up. There was a couple of aspects of this that came up that kind of surprised me a little bit. Brent was asked about the last 10 months, on what the toll maybe of the last 10 months has taken on this team, and he didn't seem to make the connection. Like, what are you talking about? Last 10 months? We've only been practicing since August. You know, the fact of the matter is, if you're watching this, these guys are worn down emotionally because they were gutted by their football coach, a guy that they trusted, a guy that they loved, a guy that they followed. They were gutted by him last year. They've been running on adrenaline. Fact of the matter is, this team, these players have been running on adrenaline for most of the last 10 months. They're excited about Schmitty. Guess what? Schmitty's a lot harder on the body than Benny Wiley was. That's just a fact of the matter.
Time.
Right.
Yeah.
So he talked in two-a-days and at the beginning of the season about 24 consecutive days of inside drill. He was proud of that. And now here we are halfway through the season, 6 games into the season, and he's like, I think our guys are tired. Well, you did 24 days of inside drill in a row, and you hired a new strength coach. And these guys have been running on adrenaline for most of the last 10 months, thinking that this is going to be great. We got a new coach. We got a new coaching staff, new position coaches. It's a tricky, tricky thing. And he's having to manage it now for the first time as a head coach. And the other thing he said, Josh, was in answer to my question, was about this is not abnormal for me. He said it may be abnormal for some of the staff. It may be abnormal for the guys, but it's not abnormal for me. That caught me by surprise a little bit because any good coach is going to adapt his style or his methodology to what the players are used to, what the players can do, what the players are capable of. Not saying that Brent Venables has to bend and to the will of the players or anything like that. But if you come in and halfway through your first season, you notice the guys are tired, you might want to examine some of the reasons why they're tired, and I think that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, and no.
The Schmitty built the whole
For sure.
24 days of the whole big picture, and he's like, this is not abnormal for me. Yeah, but you're not the one that's out there. You talked about being able to sleep on 5.5 hours of sleep per night. You're normal, Brent. The players need more sleep, more rest, less work, whatever it is, whatever that combination is. And he said it again, you have to practice tough to play tough. I completely agree with that, but maybe ease into it a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions and not many answers.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out because, and we talked about a lot in the offseason that the impact that Schmitty was going to have on this team and the fact that they were actually practicing, tackling, and all that stuff like that, all these things that we all thought was going to help, and it arguably really did for 3 weeks. But now you're wondering, is that catching up to them? Is that why this team has fallen off a cliff? We're trying to figure it out, like everybody.
Yeah, I don't have the answers.
No, we don't. We're guessing here. We're trying to put pieces together, add it up, because the team we've seen the first 3 weeks, the team we've seen the last 3 weeks, couldn't look much different. Like I jokingly said on Saturday in the podcast, it looks like the same guys in different jerseys. Like it's different people wearing the uniforms or something, because it's been very, very different the last few weeks. Now, something that could help maybe with that as well, Brent Venables mentioned that he would like to play more guys. That's something he said explicitly.
Yes.
Not a maybe we should do that. He said we need to play more guys. Now, if you remember all the way back, I think it was after week 1, Jeff Levy said the same thing on offense, that they needed to play more guys, wanted to rotate more guys in. So you're kind of wondering, okay, who are you referring to? Because they are getting a lot of guys in there defensively. There's a lot of youngsters that they also talked about maybe trying to get them in there. Maybe that helps things out a little bit if they just kind of rotate in more fresh guys, and maybe some guys rise to the occasion and the defense improves that way.
Yeah, they're down to their bare bones at linebacker, for instance. Shane Witter's out for the season. Shoulder surgery is what Brent Venables confirmed today. They obviously T.D. Roof is a guy that could be helping in that area. He's missed the whole season. He's not going to be back. So you got to play a freshman like Jaron Kanik. He's on the 2 deep, or the way Brent said it was there are a bunch of guys who were on the fringe of the 2 deep. Kanik's one of them. Kip Lewis got to play on Saturday against Texas with no Shane Witter. You've got a hole in the lineup that a freshman can come in and contribute. He didn't get a whole lot of plays, but talking to Deshaun White last night, he said he's proud of him and he couldn't be, he wouldn't have thought 2 weeks ago that he's ready to play at this level, but he comes in and he's ready to play at this level because he didn't know where to go, and now he does. It's interesting the way these guys talk about their linebackers.
Yeah.
But there's DBs. There's RSJ and DBs. Gentry Williams is a guy that has played. Probably needs to play a little more. It looks like some of the guys in the back end, again, tired, fatigued, drained, whatever you want to call it. They're in a delicate balance right now, Josh, of trying to. I guess, balance the winning now, playing the best guys, playing the guys that are going to give them the best chance to beat Kansas, and then having to play guys that they know are the future of this program. How do you treat a freshman coming in?
Yeah, no, that is it's a delicate balance for Oklahoma right now in terms of trying to save this season, not let this thing get, obviously the goals Oklahoma comes into a season with, win the Big 12, make the playoff, those are largely gone, right? They maybe could still get in the Big 12 race. This is a crazy conference. So you're still trying to save this season, but at the same time, like you're saying, you don't want to waste a year where, man, we won 6 games, 5 games. We didn't even play any young guys. Like, you don't want to let the year get away from you. So it's a delicate balance for Brent Venables and his staff for the final second half of the season, the back half here, to kind of get something out of it moving forward while also still trying to win games now, because obviously a 3-game losing streak as it is not really acceptable around these parts. We'll see if they can turn around on Saturday. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. Last year's Kansas game was one to remember. Remember Brent Venables took an act of God to win that one. I don't know if act of God to win Saturday is accurate, but boy, Oklahoma fans, they're praying for a win, that's for sure. 3-game losing streak.
Brent did say they're not taking any days off this week.
If you guys remember,
Lincoln Riley did last
mistakenly
year.
Did that a year ago with Kansas.
Nearly got their butts beaten in Lawrence.
Yeah, and this is a much different Kansas team. While Jalen Daniels doesn't look good, Jason Bean, he was throwing it around on Saturday. He played well against Oklahoma last year in Lawrence, so I don't think the Jayhawks are going to come in here as pushovers at all. Number 19 team in the country coming into Norman on Saturday. 11 a.m. kick at the stadium on the field behind us. We'll all be there, of course, allsooners.com, the place to be. Loads of coverage leading up to the start of that game on Saturday morning. And, of course, full reaction after the game from Brent Venables, players, Levy, Roof, us, highlights, game stories, post-game podcast, all that stuff. You know the drill at this point. On Saturday, allsooners.com, the place to be on Oklahoma game day. That's it for now. We'll be back here on Saturday for the Sooners and the Jayhawks, and then it's the bye week. We're all ready for that.
We're all tired.
We're all tired. They're tired. We're tired. Fans are probably tired. Everybody could use a week off right now, that's for sure. So that's it for now. We'll be back Game 7 on Saturday. For John Hoover, I'm Josh Calloway.